Welcome to the Classic and Current Gaming Podcast, where we look at the history and development of video games from all of time. I'm your host, RxDude22, and this is Season 2 of the podcast, where we're looking at games being used each and every week for the Retro Gaming League. The Retro Gaming League is a friendly competition on Facebook where pages come together and compete in a different retro game each week. This week, we're looking at the fighting game Tekken Advance for the Game Boy Advance. Let's jump right into it. Tekken Advance, also known as Iron Fist Advance, is a Tekken spin-off game for the Game Boy Advance. It shares similar aspects to Tekken Tag Tournament. It was the first Tekken game on a Nintendo platform. It was released on December 21st, 2001 in Japan, January 28th, 2002 in North America, and March 29, 2002 in Europe. It is non-canonical to the Tekken storyline, but follows the events of Tekken 3. It uses sprites based on Tekken 3's 3D models for its characters. Gameplay. The gameplay in Tekken Advance is similar to others in the series, but with the controls slightly modified to match the Game Boy Advance's inputs. Unlike previous installments, the control scheme had to be simplified, with each button controlling either a punch, kick, or throw, instead of having one button per limb. The new control scheme was the A button to kick, B to punch, and R for throw moves. The L button is only used in the 3 vs 3 mode to tag out. The game has a sidestep mechanic that gives the illusion of 3D graphics. Modes of the game: there is arcade mode, versus battle mode, which requires a link cable, time attack, survival, 3-on-3 tag arcade, 3-on-3 tag versus battle with a link cable required, 3-on-3 team arcade, which is unlockable, and 3-on-3 team versus battle, unlockable, but also requires a link cable. Despite the simplification, Tekken Advance introduces new mechanics by implementing a wide range of stun variations such as pop stuns, crumple stuns, and right-left stuns. Characters of the game. The game features most of the starter characters from Tekken 3 with the exceptions of Eddie Goro and Li Wulong. Gunjack, who was unlockable in Tekken 3, is playable from the start, with Heihachi Mishima being the sole unlockable character and final boss in lieu of Ogre. The characters include Ling, Zhao, Yoshimitsu, Nina Williams, Forrest Law, Gunjack, Hwoarang, Heihachi Mishima, who is unlockable, Paul Phoenix, King, and Jin Kazama. Due to the limitations of the sprite-based engine, side and back throws are not possible, and characters can only be facing directly towards or away from their opponent. There are also problems related to the game judging 3D space for attacks while one character is sidestepping. All characters' move lists are greatly shortened due to the removal of 2 attack buttons and the limitations of the sprites. The player can very rapidly sidestep and quickly travel around the opponent by mashing the up or down directional. The sprites are pre-rendered 3D, captured from the character's 3D models, and heavily downsized. Heihachi Mishima can be unlocked by beating arcade mode with the initial character. At the end of a 3-on-3 arcade mode playthrough, the player will fight a team of 3 Heihachi clones. There are no character endings. The game goes straight to the credit roll after beating Heihachi. Most character standard throw animations have been replaced with a short automatic combo. When King and Nina Williams perform their chain command throws, the screen will switch to a series of still images of them performing the moves on a black silhouette of a person, regardless of their opponent. This was the only Tekken fighting game without post-round replays until Tekken Tag Tournament 2 and Tekken 7. The game's soundtrack had 2 songs ripped from the Tekken 3's arcade soundtrack and the character select theme from the console version. Other themes were exclusive to this game. The stages are actually locations from Tekken 3, but are based off of their appearance in Tekken Tag Tournament. Also, while some of these stages appeared in this game, the characters that owned those stages did not. Others were shared with other fighters. For example, Grassyland, a stage that used to be the home to Eddie Gordo, is instead used by Ling Zhao and King. Also, Paul Phoenix is fought in Jin Kazama's Tiger Dojo Tokyo stage. Hwoarang is battled in the Forest Law's martial arts stage, and Heihachi as the final boss is fought in Ogre's Temple, justified since he had a stage whose path led into his temple. Reception. Tekken Advance has generally received positive reviews. It received an 8.5 out of 10 from IGN and an 8 out of 10 from GameSpot, saying, "It looks and feels close enough to its counterpart to succeed." GameSpy gave it a much more favorable score with 88 out of 100, calling it an impressive game for the Game Boy Advance. Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a mediocre score with 5.83 out of 10. Nintendo Power gave the game a 3.5 out of 5. Tekken Advance was a runner-up for GameSpot's annual Best Graphics on Game Boy Advance award, which went to Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3. All information here was provided by Wikipedia and Tekken Wiki. And that'll bring a short and sweet close to episode 19 of the podcast. We do this each and every week. This season, which is season 2, we're looking at the Retro Gaming League games. Next week's game is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super NES, so we'll have the information for you there. This podcast can be watched on YouTube, it can be listened to on Spotify, and many other platforms as well. It's been RxDave22 from the podcast signing out. Keep on gaming. You'll hear me on the next podcast. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next week with episode 20. Take care, everybody.